Welcome into this week's edition of the Mast Podcast. I'm your host, Dalton Pence. I'm a territory sales manager covering the Kentucky area, Southern Indiana, Southern Ohio, and Nashville. Joining me today is owner of Beninati Pool and Spa, Jacob Beninati. Jacob, welcome to the studio, sir.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
It seems that my mic might be this virtual background's got the mic looking weird on the show, but nonetheless appreciate you all for tuning in. Not only this episode, but sort of the hard launch of the show over the past month or so definitely is appreciated. Be sure to keep hitting that subscribe button and the like button. I brought Jacob on today because he has a very unique perspective on continuing to hold value in the backyard setting. You know, the market is very interesting at the moment, but Jacob has, made a point of emphasis to stick to the core values of his company and much more. We'll talk about how you can enhance the backyard, not just the pool itself, but some other things you can do and much, much more. So Jacob, give me a little bit of an insight, a small blurb on the history of Beninati Pool and Spa and how you got to where you are today.
Yeah, it's a family business. My dad started about 25 years ago. We teamed up in '08, right when the world kind of fell apart. So it gave me a great perspective for what not to do and how to weather the storm when times get tough. So I started off working, in the service side of the business, doing a little bit of retail, kind of filling in wherever I could. And now I kind of run everything. So I got a unique perspective. I get to see all the parts and pieces from hot tub retail to weekly services to high-end pool construction, and it's allowed me to kind of steer the ship in a way that I think really set it up for the long term.
So it's pretty interesting. 2008 was such an interesting year for pools, and I wasn't. Look, I'm 26 years old. I wasn't. I was in elementary school in 2008, but I come from a family business to where I kind of faintly remember, what all kind of went down, and then over the years, kind of got a better understanding of it. Now here we are in 2024, and we're kind of coming down from the post-COVID times, right? To an extent, everything's kind of in a weird spot. The pool market kind of recorrected itself in terms of new construction. Service stayed constant, but new construction is in a more competitive sense to where, you go from, oh, you can do it, we'll go ahead and put it into now you sort of have to differentiate yourself in the backyard. What's kind of been your go-to core values when people are very price driven in today's economy? How do you continually develop value and continue to sell your business?
Well, I think it's important to figure out what segment of the market do you want to cater to. I think during COVID, I used to call it the bag full of cash. People ran into the store and said, "Here's a whole bunch of money. Can you build me something?" We've really honed in on who's our customer, what's the product that we're going to put out, and what price points do we got to hit to be competitive in that segment. Historically, we used to be a fiberglass pool company, so price point was very near and dear to us. We drifted away from that as those sales dwindled, back in 2008, 9, 10, but during COVID, we stuck true to our guns. So we didn't branch out. We said, hey, we're going to be a high-end gun pool builder, and we're going to keep focusing on that. And we kept carving out that part of the market. And fortunately for us, the high end has been very consistent. As you say, the correction has came. We're only starting to see a little bit of that drift on the high end side of the market. But I know that mid tier, that that high end vinyl liner and that fiberglass pool, I think that it's been pretty brutal for those guys.
So, kind of looking towards the mid tier and even parts of the high tier. What advice could you give to, because this show is all about trying to help the industry as a whole. A rising tide raises all ships, if you will, as something that we kind of feels like just continue to constantly reiterate. What advice would you give to those dealers that are kind of struggling to bounce back from the highs of the COVID time and trying to being able to close the deal on some of these jobs? What advice could you give to them that's not just let's meet the bottom line price?
Well, I think high-end customer service, doesn't matter what price point you're hitting. You want to be responsive to your customers. You want to follow through on all your promises. And you want to be available. I mean, so many people operate their company off their cell phone. And when you're busy, you're in a machine digging a hole or whatever you may be doing, you can't answer your phone, not available. You have to have backup in order to answer those questions, be thorough. Because at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what the price is. If they tell their neighbor that it was a miserable experience, well, they don't want to buy from you, and they may not buy a pool at all because they said it's such a negative thing during the process. So it's been a real staple for us. We focused on service because when there is a problem, we get out there immediately, whatever it may be. And as we slow down, our workload normalized a little bit. The easiest thing to do is take the guy who's already on staff, have them go solve that problem. Hey, my heater's not working, or I can't get the app to function, or my lights are out of sync, whatever it may be. If we can solve it quickly, it really lends itself to a positive customer experience, and that which means more sales for all of us.
I think that that's pretty, that definitely needs to be said because, as a pool builder, even if you just build pools, once you put that pool in the ground, really, I mean, a lot of the elite pool builders around the country, the relationship doesn't stop there. There's always some type of customer service on the back end of things. But when you're in the design meeting, and I know that Beninati does a lot of custom work, high end stuff, what you said, and we'll kind of get into that here in just a second. How do you sort of, sort of push that customer service aspect of it before the contract gets signed? How do you differentiate yourself, you know, being able to explain that value early on?
Well, we really lean right into it. So we say, hey, you're doing this amazing backyard to get all these features. Do you plan on going out there and scooping the leaves out yourself? Most of them say no. They're looking to have some kind of resource for that. We say, hey, this is a partnership. We want to build a pool that's easy to maintain, it's high quality, long lasting. We want to be the people that maintain it for you. We want to take that stress away from you, take it all on, and be happy to do it. A lot of people, but builders, they want to, once there's water in the backyard, they want to leave. I don't think that's the right approach. And I think a lot of consumers, because there's not this huge anxiety to just get something, I think they're looking for that customer service, long-term relationship, knowing that you're going to be there until they move.
And kind of going towards the type of work that you do, and I know some people might listen to this and be like, well, this doesn't really apply to me because I don't necessarily dive into the high end market. I stick towards the middle range, but there's some merit in everything, and the hope is that you can sort of pick up on some things of trying to enhance the backyard outside of just the pool, because that it feels like that's becoming something that definitely is becoming more popular, is that people are starting to encompass the entire backyard. In your experience, what have been the most successful things that you're pushing, whether it be grills, whether it be hardscapes, in your opinion, when you go into a meeting with a pool or with a prospective pool owner? What are you also pushing as a part of your options?
A lot of it is, we focus a lot on the pools, but we're seeing tons of outbuildings, tons of, dedicated seating areas, fire pits. We're in the Midwest here, so it gets chilly in the fall. So fire pits, fire features are very popular. Outdoor lighting. I mean, every backyard, the biggest wow factor is the lighting, whether it's the pool lighting, whether it's outdoor landscape lighting, or some of the super cool features that are available. I think people want something to show their friends. And lighting is cool. Turning it on and off from your phone. Hey, watch them turn my fireplace on. Boom. Those kind of things really sell the backyard. It's the cool factor that all of us are looking for.
I found it pretty interesting, how much you all do in the spa realm as well, whether it be the custom built-in spas on the gunite builds with the spillover, or something along the lines of just having the hard shell on the outside. It feels like for homeowners, you're starting to see like people starting like, yeah, I want my regular 16 by 32 rectangle pool, to now like I want the pool with all the bells and whistles. If I can afford it, I want it. So when you're pushing spas, or you're a prospective pool dealer that's looking to push spas, what's the first thing you're kind of focusing on? What's the first thing that you would give advice to for a dealer trying to make sure you get that sale as well?
Yeah, so we tried talking about it. Like, are you planning on using the spa year round? And in my area, that's pretty common, and you can do it with a built-in spa, like a gunite spa on the ground. But it's expensive, and it's we try to be conscious of energy costs. If you're trying to heat your outdoor spa, it's not insulated. You got to run 24 hours a day. We say, hey, if you're using it year round, let's get you into a portable unit. It's going to save you about half the price. And it's going to be so much more energy efficient. It's going to be, the more contoured seats, more jets, more power, more massage. And it's simple, and it's easier to maintain, and there's less risk. You don't have to worry about the power going out and, the pipes freezing. It's all, they're built for that. So we really try to shift people into those kind of items. And then obviously we can take that budget and maybe, they put in the landscape, we're going to make the pool a little cooler, or, but it's definitely something that we try to talk about really early on, so we can design it, in a way that's close to the back door, so they can use it in February when there's 12 inches of snow on the ground.
And kind of going back to the topic of being a customer for life is kind of how I like to kind of coin it. As a builder, how important is it to also have, and you don't have to have a situation where you're running 12 trucks all on the road, servicing pools left and right, but how advantageous and important is it for a builder to have at least some sort of a minimal package that they can offer? It doesn't have to be weekly service, but still some type of a service aspect of the business.
Yeah, what we started doing is, and a lot of it was to protect their own behinds. We're doing gunite pools. The pool finish needs to cure over 28 days. So we started doing startups, but we call it kind of a 4-week maintenance package, and we do it on every single pool we build. You can't opt out of it. You're getting it whether you like it or not. But it's to get comfortable with our guys in the backyard. But on our end, it's a way to protect the investment that we have in the backyard. We want to make sure the plaster cures properly. It's being brushed. It's, the color comes out, and any of those little small issues, dripping O-ring, some of the COVID things where, like, the igniter on the heater breaks in, day 4, on everyone. But we can check all those boxes, deliver an amazing customer experience by protecting our investment, their investment, but also it's kind of their first taste into weekly service, and they get an idea if that's something they want. But everyone gets it, and it's a really simple thing for us to do. And you don't even have to offer weekly service. It's just somebody there to kind of, make sure all the punch list items are taken care of properly, and just, once again, just be another person, another resource to have this amazing experience through the pool process.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it kind of goes back to, I mean, like the whole customer for life type thing. And there's a level of, because I mean, I hate to say it, but there have been situations across the country where some pool builders haven't necessarily lived up to their promises, and I feel like that's not just the pool industry. That's just sort of any type of specialty industry, that not every builder is who they say they are, and there is a level of, when you're spending that level of money, there's sort of a level of I won't go as far as saying like being scared, but still being conscious with who you go with. So I think that when you are not the lowest price builder every single time, that there has to be a focus on making sure you double down on that customer service experience.
Yeah, and I think if the process goes well, they can say, yeah, it's a few dollars more, but it's going to be a smooth process, and we can do it confidently. And the age of the internet, your Google reviews will speak for you. So if they have a great experience, they'll tell everybody, and unfortunately, if they have a bad experience, they're also going to tell everybody. So it's a little bit of self-preservation there.
Mhm. One thing we like to do on every show is introduce a mailbag question. Jacob, we have a question that was asked to me for this show, and the question goes like this. I'm really interested to hear your opinion on this. What is one of the main common misconceptions about having good customer service?
I think the biggest misconception is people think it costs the company more money. Hey, we thought about your winterization. Let's get that scheduled for you. But how are you going to cover the pool? When do you want it done? And I noticed that we got you set up with your manual vacuum, but were you interested in a robot? Because I think that's going to deliver a better situation for you. And a lot of those little small items get missed, but we're always selling them after the fact. So, and that goes back with having a good rapport, being proactive, and just, hey, how you cleaning your pool? You're not hiring us, but did you have a robot? Let's sell you one, and we'll deliver it for you. And it just starts, snowballing.
That's really interesting, because it kind of goes without saying, but also I've never heard it said that way. Allowing customer service to generate revenue for you. I think it's brilliant to be able to word it like that, and to be able to push it like that as well, because a lot of people view it as, you're going above and beyond. But the misconception is that it is at your expense, and maybe in the short term it might be, because you might have to, spend more on gas or make an extra trip out to a job site. And you might not necessarily be seeing that revenue right up front, but in the long run, you see, word of mouth is still a key thing in this industry. And that's kind of where I want to, transition this topic over to, is that we're starting to see this industry it might be one of the more slower developing ones across the entire business plane, but the pool industry is starting to get more advanced. Obviously, with more automation, there are more convenient services to creating service routes. When you look back on these 5 years, from COVID, and you look to the next five to round out the 2020s, where do you sort of see this pool industry going in terms of technology? Are we going to see much more of a difference from where we are right now to 5 years from now, per se?
It's really interesting. I'm watching a lot of the technology, and I like to look at stuff from kind of my little bubble here. And I'm really amazed by how much we can target and quote now from our office. So, whether it's people sending pictures in, or my new favorite one for safety covers I was talking about, we pull their house up on the Google aerial view, and we're measuring the pool and we're quoting the pool for a safety cover. Or I see that happening for maybe vinyl liner replacements, like pull up a territory and all these in-ground vinyl liner pools. Let's just send them a quote for replacing their liner, so they have it, and we know exactly how big the pool is based off the Google image. So I'm seeing, I see the future go in that direction a little bit, and I think it's really cool. And even maybe targeting for pool service. I mean, the views that we can get from an aerial now are just absolutely killer. We even do it for pool renovations. We're measuring the pool to quote, do a new plaster, new tile, new coping, because we can get a pretty good measurement right off the aerial. I see someone's going to invent the software so we can just quote 100 pool renovations just from a click or something. So that'd be cool.
So when it's a new prospective customer and you don't really have you don't have a pool to be able to use for reference at that point, when you go into this meeting or the design meeting, how much are you kind of pushing technology personally for your customers to look, you know we might not necessarily be the lowest price, but look at all the things we can do, and you show them. Is there like is that built into your presentation of how you kind of use the wow factor?
Yeah, and for us, it's kind of always something we've leaned into. So we're always doing a 3D design. We're always going through that, but we're also every pool gets iPhone controls, app controls. So, and it's been that way for years. And everyone's gets a variable speed pump. Everyone's getting code LED lights, and it's been that way for us organizationally for years and years and years, because the customers want it. And it's going to roll into chemical automation. I know some manufacturers are way ahead of the curve on this, and other ones are catching up. But everyone wants to see their chemistry on their phone. They want to be able to adjust it, and they want to be able to see these things, and they expect it. So if you're not leaning into the technology, whether it's UV lights or UV ozone systems or whatever it may be, the customer's going to find it, and you have to offer it, and you better be knowledgeable on it, because every new thing that comes out, the customer's going to see it before us now, and that's just the technology age.
What do you feel like are the most important components of customer service? Like, would it be being attentive, active listening? Is it being resilient, communication? What would you think are kind of the main characteristics of someone that is delivering good customer service?
The very simplest one, and I coach this in my office all the time, is we just have to answer the phone. I know it sounds oversimplified, but I think the biggest failure is we're simply not answering the phone when the customer calls. And I think about your furnace goes out, you call three places, you go up to one that answers the phone. And I think customer service in our industry is exactly the same. That's the expectation, is someone's going to answer the phone, someone's going to respond, and someone's going to offer us a solution. And that's what we have to do for our customers. And sometimes you can charge for it, sometimes it's a warranty issue, whatever it may be, but answer the phone. If it is, call for a new pool quote or a repair, quote it quickly. Be very responsive, because that's the first impression that you're going to give them, and that's the core of customer service. You want, here's the problem, here's the solution, here's the price, and have it all happen, within minutes, not days.
And this really doesn't apply to our industry, but in a world of automated phone calls, you call, I mean, insert big box chain here, and you're on hold for 10-15 minutes on a question you want answered. It can be answered in 5 seconds. People are yearning for a human voice on the other end of that line.
100% agree. 100% agree. And so many people have these, call services and whatnot. And I think part of the customer experience is, hey, when I call, I know I talked to Lisa. I like Lisa. I've been talking to her every year for the last 10 years, and she's going to take care of my problem. And I trust her, instead of, well, we're the call service, we're going to take your information and call you back. And that's just different, much different world.
So, kind of wrapping things up here on this episode with Jacob Beninati, owner of Beninati Pool and Spa up in Michigan. First of all, are you seeing any snow currently? How's the winter weather kind of treating you?
Yeah, it snowed yesterday, so my pool's still open, so I feel silly now as the snowflakes are falling. But it definitely snowed yesterday.
Oh man, I kind of want to wrap things up on a little bit of an open-ended question for you, Jacob. Being in this industry, at least for the past 20 years with Beninati Pool and Spa, being able to see the market change, to see the world change, and still, I mean, have a very successful business model for, the new pool builders out there, for those that have been in the game a while, but they kind of want to, reestablish themselves. What advice could or would you give them in terms of finding their own avenue and finding something that works for them, being able to differentiate themselves in their market?
Well, I think part of it is just being awake in your business. I one of my favorite things that I am able to do is I answer the phone around here, and a lot of business owners don't do that, and I keep preaching that. But if you know what the customer's calling about and looking for, you can target that sector of the industry. So if they're calling for weekly service, maybe you should offer weekly service, because if they're calling looking around for it, that's an avenue. It's a new revenue stream that maybe you're not even knowledgeable. One of the things during COVID that a lot of us focused on new construction, because whether we were short staffed or I happened to be lucky that day, I answered the phone a lot. People were dying for renovation. They were just, no one would even entertain the idea of renovating an existing pool. So we focused on it. I answered the phone. I got the demand for it, and we kind of created a new sub department, which was a team of people just quoting renovations because people were asking for it. And as revenues start to come down, we have to find new avenues to make money. And who knows what it is in your market. And step one is, do the research, answer the phone, figure out what people are asking for. Maybe it's saunas. I don't know. Maybe that's the new thing. But every market's going to be a little bit different, and it will be kind of based on what competition's doing out there. But if, your competitors are dropping the ball in this category, take the ball and run with it, because it's going to be easier. Because if we're racing to the bottom on price points for new construction, everybody loses. So that's going to be tough sledding, unless interest rates change or demand, goes back to COVID times. I don't know. So
Quote of the episode: if your competitor drops the ball, pick up the ball and start running with it. I'm going to be using that all over now. That is
I'm going to
definitely
patent
some.
that first. Hold on.
Go ahead. No, I'll let you go ahead, Patty. You might want to make it quick before this episode drops, because that definitely, that's brilliant in the way that you said that. But for all the listeners out there, thank you for tuning in. I hope that you found something useful from this conversation with Jacob and I that you can apply to either your business or the way that you treat customer service. You can find this episode on all streaming services: YouTube, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, LinkedIn, you name it. If you can, or if you tune into it, you can listen. So appreciate you all tuning in. Everyone have a great day. We'll see you right back here soon. Don't forget, a rising tide raises all ships. We'll see you
Thanks,
then.
all.